Last month saw AMRA host the 52nd model train show back at the Melbourne Showgrounds. This year I took the option to get to the show via the good folks at Steamrail, who once again operated Red Rattler shuttles from Flinders Street in their preserved Tait set. Better late than never, here's some of my highlights from the expo. As you enter, you're greeted by a static Lego layout from the Melbourne L-Gauge Train Club. Unlike other years, there wasn't much Aussie content here, but this was cool nonetheless. Next up, I was able to look at the free M009 scale for the first time in person. This standard has been gaining popularity here, and it's pretty easy to see why. Personally, I don't know too much about the On30 scale layout, so it was cool to see this one by Dan Pickard and David Price. This layout was set in the bush and was incredibly detailed and stood out quite a bit. Staying with the rural setting was the HO scale layout, the Beachy. I'm not sure if I've seen this layout before, but having lived in regional Victoria for a good chunk of my life, I did enjoy this one. The AMRA garden layout was on display as well, and if I'm not mistaken, they also have a much larger layout outside in their club rooms in Glen Iris. Tequila Ferro Carol is a layout that I hadn't seen before and was heavily detailed despite its compact size. However, Farquhar Station was a layout that I wished I could have just sat there looking at for hours. Modelled after the locomotives and settings of Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends, Farquhar Station was a realistic representation of the Reverend Wilbur Awdry's world-famous stories, and the effort these guys went to was sensational. I loved it. I need to see more of this because it's fantastic. I mentioned how much Farquhar Station impressed me, but Dungog, apologies if I butchered the pronunciation, was another standout of the show. It hit me right in the feels with the late 80s and 90s Aussie flavour, which I absolutely love. And the level of detail from that era was exceptional, right down to the all-you-can-eat Pizza Hut restaurant on the hill. Alan Lee was a smaller layout that looked like one I could conceivably build in my house one day, maybe if I'm lucky, but Twig also caught my eye, mainly because I'm a sucker for Victorian locomotives. Moving up north to New South Wales, we have a fantastic representation of the Darling Harbour goods line. I'll let the video do the talking because this massive layout's awesomeness needs to be seen in person to be truly appreciated. Cheakamus Canyon is another great one that I've seen before and is set in the Canadian Rocky Mountains. Then there's another on-30 scale and narrow gauge layout called 2 Mile Creek, which is set in the 1920s in Gippsland. We head back to New South Wales again for the very cool Carlingford HO scale layout. This focuses on a lot of the suburban passenger trains of Sydney from the 80s and 90s. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. When are we going to get some mass-produced Comeng and Hitachi trains? We need them ASAP. Where was I? Oh yes, Darrabee is another old favourite of mine, which is an O-gauge layout based in the UK. But I'm going to end this video on one of my absolute all-time favourites, Borderline. If you've seen my previous videos, you'll know how much I love this era of trains, and just seeing the colourful variety of locomotives like you did back in the day really brings me a lot of joy. Well, thank you so much for watching. Apologies for the lateness of this video, but if you still need your model railway fix, the Sunbury Model Railway Club's 39th Annual Model Railway Exhibition is on during October 19th and 20th. Last year was a lot of fun, had a variety of layouts too, as you can see here, so put it in your diaries and make sure you check it out. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.